Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are asking the question, why are open relationships so common in the gay world? Now, I've talked about this before. I have new thoughts. A little bit of background. I think a lot of times when you are scrolling on a dating site or you get talking to somebody, they tell you that they aren't interested in like a closed relationship, like a one-on-one relationship while dating while gay. And I think it's a very common phenomenon. It has obviously been normalized a lot. We have a lot of things like ethical non-monogamy. A lot of people just decide that, hey, I might love this person, but I don't necessarily want to be in an exclusive relationship with them. I would like to see other people, try new things, have multiple people in the relationship, have multiple rendezvous with people. And for some people in the gay community, it works really well. Two people meet, they they get together, they decide to be ethically non-monogamous. We are together, but we will also see other people. We will also have um, other engagements that we will attend to. And if it works for both people in the relationship, I have nothing to say. If it works for you, if it works for your partner, there is I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. However, I do think that a lot of us, I don't know if it's the majority or not, but a lot of gay people, gay men, gay whoever, um, I think a lot of us do want that like closed off relationship. I was saying to a friend a while ago that I'm not a jealous person, but I don't share. Like I don't feel jealous or feel weird if my partner is hanging out with friends at night, going out dancing, seeing people like that in a social setting. What I do have a problem with is if my partner wanted to go on a coffee date or something with an ex or wanted to stay in close contact with an ex or somebody that they've been with or wants to maintain that kind of stuff. I would have a few questions. I would be a little bit um not worried, but it would set a little sensor off in my brain going like, hey, like, why do you feel the need to do that? Like, what's going on? And I genuinely mean it when I say I'm not a jealous person. Like, I'm not afraid of someone cheating until they've cheated, in which case, then bye, like, goodbye. I will see you never. Um, I don't I think a lot of conservatives and a lot of people sort of paint gay people and gay men in particular as very promiscuous. There's quite a bit of research into all of this, and I've looked at it, and gay marriage has a higher propensity to stay together. Gay marriages have a much lower divorce rate than in the normal world. Obviously, the community is much smaller. The group of people that you are looking to date and hang out with is much smaller than the straight community because the straight community basically has 50% of the human population in their dating pool. And I think a lot of promiscuity is proximity based and spur of the moment based. You're just feeling something in the moment at a party or a work colleague thing, and you make a really dumb decision. But I think part of the issue with open relationships is that they are so closely um, there's a connotation between open marriages or open relationships and like promiscuity, because at the end of the day you're asking yourself like, what is the reason to be in an open relationship? And if the reason is to get some action on the side or whatever you want to call it, apologies if this sounds insensitive, but if that's the goal, then saying that it's a promiscuous activity is not crazy, like it's not insane. Like I said, if you're two consenting adults and you see nothing wrong with it, go off, do what you want to do. But I also feel like there's a pressure from the open relationship community to try and paint this as sort of the normal standard, the thing that should be encouraged and embraced. And that's kind of where I get a little bit frustrated with it is that I've talked to people in open relationships and they get quite defensive about it. They get quite um, exceptional. They take exception to the whole idea that, well, it's because you want more action. You want to do this thing. And some of them say like, no, it's not that. It's just the exploration and the idea of going on new dates with people and all this kind of stuff. But again, I rally against that because I don't particularly enjoy the dating process, the texting and the talking and the ghosting and, the gaslighting and the manipulation. I don't necessarily enjoy all of that. And I don't know why someone would want to subject themselves to more of it after they have found a partner, after they have found someone that they really connect with. So it is a difficult question. In all honesty, I don't have the answer of why gay men do it more. There's lots of theories, and I read into this before I made this video. There's theories about how living in the closet during your early life means that you don't get to really experience those like teenage romances or whatever you want to call them, which I don't think are that great. I had straight relationships as a closeted teenager. I didn't know I was gay at that point, and I don't look back on them with some like rose-colored glasses of, oh, they were so nice or whatever. And I've talked to people who were out, who came out of the closet at like 12 and then had teenage romances, and they were just, the first one is always your first love is always different than everything else. It's toxic and difficult and crazy and a whirlwind, and you're naive and you're trying to figure out your place in the world and all of this stuff, and you're doing it with another person, which makes it kind of special. But at the same time, there's nothing particularly extravagant about that. So the whole theory that gay men want to have open relationships because they never got to have teenage romances, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I don't think that's like an equivalent. There's other theories about just like they're more promiscuous, they have a higher propensity for that, and I rally against that kind of stuff. It seems like a homophobic kind of way of trying to dismiss it and vilify it. I know people who are in open relationships in the LGBT community and are very satisfied with it, but I think a lot of us want to be able to come home and know that this person is for me and me only, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's been this like consistent attempt to vilify closed relationships and say like, well, they're just going to cheat on you anyway. And like, fair enough, that is a possibility, but that's a possibility no matter what. In any relationship under the sun that has ever existed, from Romeo and Juliet all the way up to now, and probably even further than that. But I think for me and for anyone who thinks like me, you need to make your boundaries really firm and just say, hey, like, this is what I want. I want exclusivity. And if you're uncomfortable with that, if there's any kind of hesitation in your mind, please tell me, because I really don't want to find someone who ideally wants an open relationship, but is just trying to stay with me because they like me, in the moment. Like if I am not your whole cup of tea, please don't pick it up in the cafeteria. Don't, just leave me alone. And I know that sounds a bit negative, but it's the truth. Is if you're someone who is not up to sharing and not up to opening your relationship, you got to make that clear. And if you're someone who is open to it, make that clear, because some of us really just want that like true, full, if it exists, that like heartthrob romance that lasts a lifetime. And there's nothing wrong with either of them, as long as you communicate that and as long as your partner is totally on board. Because if they're not on board, they're not on board, and you can't make that. I said this in a video a while ago, but you can't force change. It comes from within. And so if someone is genuinely like me and just says, no, I want the exclusivity, I want to feel like my partner is mine, please just honor that and understand that, and don't just, bait me along the whole way and then I get my heart broken, because that's no fun. It's really not fun to be cheated on when, that was a hard red line, which I don't know, in my mind is always a hard red line. So I'd love to know your thoughts on open relationships, on ethical non-monogamy, on the idea of opening up your relationship after it's been exclusive for a long time. If you have any stories or advice, um, I've never been in an open relationship. It's not something that I've ever explored. Like I said, it's just not my thing. It's not a jealousy thing. It's just my basic view on relationships and what I'm here to do, and my outlook and the future that I would like does not include open relationships in any way, shape, or form. And I communicate that in a really upfront, direct, and early way when I meet someone. I'm like, hey, this is my thought. I'm someone who sits down on the first date and says, hey, I am looking to eventually get married, which again is a whole other kind of controversial topic in the gay community. Fought for gay marriage for a long time, but we also fought for the right to not be married at the same time. And I think that's really important. People are always saying like, oh, the gay people, they wanted marriage and now they have it and they're not doing it. What's going on? No, we wanted the right to do it. And with every right comes the choice to not do it. So I don't want to hear any vilification or any, you know, being too harsh. I understand if you've been hurt by someone who wanted to be in an open relationship, that paints your image of open relationships in a really negative way. And I totally get that for a good reason. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for other people, because I know it does. And I've seen it. I've seen it work really well for people. I've even seen it work for straight people. And great, not my cup of tea, not my vibe, but in all honesty, who am I to judge? So that's my 2 cents. Open relationships are a very complicated, nuanced topic, and it requires a lot of trying to look from the other person's perspective, which I'm not the best at, but I give it a go. So thank you. I hope you're having a beautiful day, week, month, year, whatever you're having. I hope it's amazing. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.